This is an introduction to plotting in Excel. We have some data here, an X series of data, and then corresponding Y points, Y, and then which is a parabola, and then some noise, and then we also compute the mean of each of these columns. What we'd like to do is try to reproduce this plot on the right. There's several ways to do this, and we'll take us through several of these. So I'm going to highlight the X, Y data, a series of sets that I want to plot. When I highlight this data, the first column will be the x-axis, and then all the subsequent columns will be plotted against that x-axis. If I hold down the Control button, then I can select another series. On a Mac, that would be Command. And then we can go up to the Insert. We'll do a scatter plot and select the type of plot. We'll do this one here. And we can see all the data series selected. If we click on a particular series, we can see which ones are highlighted. We want to try to reproduce more or less what we see on the right. So the first thing we'll do is set up the overall format. And so Excel is an exercise in double-clicking and right-clicking, and so different parts of the chart that you click on will select different things that can be modified. So if I click on the outer chart, we'll come over here to Quick Layout and then select a particular design. We can choose this one, we can choose another, we can select from several of these different options here. And maybe we'll choose something like this. Sure. So we don't want these grid lines, so we just click the grid lines and delete, hit the delete key, and then these grid lines and delete. We can do the same for the for the major grid lines. If we select the chart area and then double click, we can change the border. We'll do maybe a solid line. Maybe make it black, thinner, 0.5. Then we can move our legend over, change the size of the box. Let's see if we can click on the legend again. Maybe. We'll just move this legend over here and then change the size of the box. I hit undo there just so that I could click it. If we double click the legend, then you can see we can put a solid line if we like, and that'll work. Now the axis title here is Y, so if I double click on the axis title, double click to select, we can change that Y meters per second, and we can click on the x-axis title, double click it to select X meters, and then we want to increase the font sizes, so we'll click on the whole chart and then come over to Home, and we can increase the font sizes that we're looking at. And we can make these, if we click, we can make them bold and bold. Now let's modify some of the data series. This red line here doesn't have any symbols on it, or markers, so we'll click that, and then over on the right we can click the marker, and marker options, we'll click on none, and then for the line, click on the line, we'll make it red, and maybe make it a little thicker. Good. Then for this black dashed line, that's the mean. So let's come and find that one. I think that's it. Maybe. Yep, there it is. So let's go ahead and for that series, we can put, again, no marker, none. And for the line, we'll do a black line, solid line, black, and we'll make it dashed. There we go. Now for these other lines, we're going to only do symbols. So for these, we can do marker, we'll do line, no line, and we'll do the same for the others. Line, no line, no line, and then we can change these to be whatever we want. I think these ones were X's, markers, so then we can choose the symbol type, marker option, type, and we can choose X's there, increase the size. These ones I think were, whoops, over here we've got squares, marker, options, built in, we'll make those squares, and raise the size for those as well. Those actually have shadows on them. Don't know if I want to put shadows. And then we have these ones, I think were triangles. So let's go ahead and change those to triangles. Marker options, built in, triangles. Can raise those up as well. Now the names on these symbols are fine except for mean is too big, so let's go ahead and right click the plot, and then we can go to select data, and we get a dialog here that has our different data series. It's also possible to add or subtract data series by using these plus and minus buttons here, and then you can select more data. So for the mean average, I'm gonna, instead of the name coming from the plot, I'm gonna put the mean from, we'll just call it mean, like so. And then you can see that just shows up as mean now. You can push that over. Now let's change the axis range. So if we click on the axis, double click the axis, and then we can come over and select this bar icon and then change the bounds. We'll make that go to 1. And you can see some of the various options that are available. Vertical axis crosses at 0, we'll do that. And then here on the y-axis we can also change the bounds. Here we'll make it go to 0 to 7, and then the axis, the horizontal axis, also will have that cross at 0 like it does here. Good, so now we can click the interior plot area. You can see it selected, and we'll just modify it slightly so that it's out of the way of the axis here. Move it in just a little bit, change the location of our plot, and that's pretty close. Now you can see this line overlaps, so if we double click the area, we hit the paint can, we can fill it. Right now it's automatic. Let's fill it with white, and then you can see it stands out without showing the background underneath. And that's pretty close, so you can modify the sizes a little bit if you want to get them even closer. Let's go ahead and delete this. Oh, that's the mean. Oops, undo that. Looks like when we did the black it didn't do everything. Let's use this as an opportunity to just add in the mean separately. So here's if we highlight this X and then highlight the mean column, let's see so we can see it. X here, and then the mean column. Let's go ahead and insert a chart. We'll do this with lines, and then we'll format this to have the line type that we want. Solid line, make it a dashed line. And then let's go ahead and take our plot here and copy the whole plot, Control C, paste it on top of our new plot, Control V, and you can see that that takes our plot and puts it on top of the other. If we do select data, then we can see the points that we have and the names here. We can move these down the list. Okay. And then see if we can adjust our plot here so this shows up. And then we'll adjust this select data again and change that back to just be mean instead of the label that's listed on the slide. And shorten that up again. Make it a little smaller. Whoops, there we go. Move it out of the way. So a couple different ways to add series to the plots, and if you mess something up, sometimes it's easier to just redo it than to try editing it. And then that can go. If you do the copy and paste, it's important which plot you paste on top of the other so that you don't clobber your formatting. So in this case, I pasted the one I wanted on top of the new one, and the original, the one replaced the new one. So there you go. There's a quick introduction to plotting an XY scatter plot in Excel and doing some basic formatting. Again, Excel is an exercise in double clicking and right clicking with a lot of the options either here on the right with the format area, or you can right click the plot, and this select data is convenient for manipulating the some of the details of the data sets that are plotted.